Welcome to This Week in Guns. Our bandwidth sponsor today is Stealth Gear USA, stealthgearusa.com. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, Patriot Patch Company, and JWB Military and Brass. This is a podcast that covers the latest commentary on the firearms industry news, information, and buzz. Brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen. You make the show possible. That's right. You simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. You can also pledge your support over at firearmsradio.tv/pledge for as little as $5 a month. That's cost of Starbucks cup of coffee. Firearmsradio.tv/pledge. Have a great panel this week. We have Nate Murr returning, Director of Business Development at Kinetic Development Group. Hey, Nate.
Hey, Jake. Good to be back on.
Great to have you back. Josh Cast of Four Guys Guns. Hey, Josh.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
The pleasure is all ours. We have John Patton of the Gun Collective and Patton Media Consulting. Hey, John.
That was almost a timestamp. Hi, Jake.
That was almost a timestamp.
I'm a bad influence on you.
And we have Abs, which will be joining us shortly. He's, I don't know, he's snowed in Colorado traffic or something. Abs of House of Guns and House of Arms. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised, especially on live shows. Any update on that Facebook live feed?
Looked good the last I checked.
All righty. Thank you for tuning in live on Facebook every Thursday night about 9 p.m., 9:15 p.m. Central Time. You can also watch live on the Firearms Radio Network YouTube channel as well. Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. Wanted to thank everyone that has signed up for the Patch of the Month Club, especially new subscribers. We have a bunch of new subscribers over there. And the Patch of the Month Club is real simple. You sign up for a subscription that renews every month, and you get a high-quality morale patch and sticker combo in the mail for the month of December. You get the Silent Night Santa, but it's really not liking my camera. Santa with a silencer patch with a matching sticker. These are exclusive. You can only get them via the Patriot Patch of the Month Club. No other way to get them. Limited run. We never run these again. And they're limited to the amount of subscribers that month. So very limited runs, exclusive, awesome designs, patriotpatch.co. Also have a new 1911 cleaning mat coming soon. You can pre-order that. Have a participation trophy and World War II pinup ladies coming soon over at the pre-orders at patriotpatch.co. As there's some other pre-orders over there too, so check that out. We have the M4 AR-15 cleaning mats back in stock. If you're looking to pick one of those up for Christmas, you can get those at patriotpatch.co. Top stories this week. Let's start with some positive news. Florida concealed carry permits now to be renewed online. I can already see the headlines where you can get your concealed carry permit online. You can buy a gun online. No background check.
Man, right? Like as much as everybody makes fun of Florida, they have some pretty good gun laws. Like they do call it the gunshine state for a reason, right?
Well, I mean, you kind of need that with all the crazy people running around.
With all the face-eating alligator type things going on all the time.
Bath salts and things of that nature.
Isn't not just the people like the criminals, but it's like the wildlife that want to get you too. But anyway, like
described this week, bath salts on sale, and you get a free AR-15. So yeah, I mean that's anything to streamline the process for law-abiding citizens. You know, this is a renewal process, so it's not like you can sign up for the first time. But if you're already past the background checks and any class requirements, you can just renew online. Just like a driver's license for many states, just renew it online.
The thing about it too is like like forgetting to renew your license. Like everybody gets their CCW and they put it in their wallet and they forget about it forever because you don't really have to show it to anybody. Like the only time you ever have to show it is like if things have gotten that level with a law enforcement officer, which after carrying my entire adult life, I've never had to show my CCW to anybody. So it's like it's easy to forget about it. But a lot of states, like if you are carrying and you forget that your CCW expires, sometimes it's a pain in the butt to start all over. Like you have to basically start the process all over again. But more importantly, like you can get in some serious trouble because now you're back to breaking the law. You're no longer carrying with a valid permit. So, it kind of feels like for me, I have to go down to the courthouse and, it's the whole hassle of taking off work because you have to go during work hours. And, it's hard for people to do it sometimes, especially if they live in a county where the sheriff's office is far away from where they live. So I think it's good. Like, I don't understand why we don't like make things electronic. Like everything should be digitalized now. Like there's no reason in 2016 why you shouldn't be able to do this on a computer. So I'm glad. I hope it's a trend that Florida sets and everybody else starts following that trend. So yeah, I'd like to have that here in PA.
There's no reason that you would have to be like present to renew this. Like what they can do all this stuff electronically. What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, like you can do all kinds of stuff with automobiles and registry and everything else online, like with various DMVs in different states. I'm just saying it's like, it's a local government issued document or permission slip essentially. So I don't see why more states couldn't do this. Like I said, I sincerely hope that more do.
Trump picks retired combat leader for Homeland Security. Got an autoplay ad I'm dealing with on this page. Pause. And I bring this up because Trump has also picked several other former military leaders for his cabinet for his upcoming presidency here. Some
James Mattis for one.
And just 8 minutes in, and Nate's on Mattis. So, what do you think of Mattis?
So I mean, I'm a huge Mattis fan. Obviously, I am. But it was surprising to me, like since he's gotten the nod from Trump for taking over SecDef, all of a sudden all this negativity is coming out about General Mattis, and like saying if you're gonna be doing that every time I say the M word, then it's just gonna be like an hour of that noise. So anyway, like I personally served under General Mattis. I think he's a great commander. I'm excited for him. I hope that like people are talking about like fighting him over whether or not they're gonna give him a waiver because he only recently retired from the Marine Corps. It wasn't that long. So I'm worried about that, but they could not have picked a better man for the job. And I think with 4-star General Kelly, who's obviously another Marine Corps combat vet, he's a great guy for Homeland Security. His son was killed in Afghanistan. His son, like he's Kelly's of the warrior breed. And I think a lot of people, one of the reasons why Trump got elected is they're tired of inactivity. They're tired of us not making progress in the Middle East. They're tired of our boys and our girls over there getting killed over essentially nothing at this point because they're not bringing the fight to the enemy anymore. And that's how you win wars, is by bringing the fight to them. So I look at it like if Trump wants to fill his cabinet full of 4-star Marine Corps generals with great reputations, then you better. It's a bad day to be ISIS, is what it boils down to. It's a bad day to be America's enemies.
I have a question then, excuse my ignorance, but I was wondering if anyone was capable of elaborating on why there is a 7-year wait on retired military personnel.
I mean, that's a question I wish Kraut was here to answer, but I think it has something to do with basically, like everybody talks about military industrial complex, right? So it's one of those things where if you have a general who leaves the service and immediately goes into a political career, then there's a chance for a political coup because he's so recently out of the military, and then also favoritism and nepotism. So I think it's just like one of those things where if you're out of the fray for that 7 years, and that's maybe enough time that you kind of lose relevance and you can't influence things that you set up to influence while still in the military. But I mean, it's one of those things where if they can waive it, then what's it matter? I'm at the point now where it's like I don't care who gets elected for anything anymore as long as it's the best person for the job. That's all that matters to me. So it's like, oh, we're gonna get a waiver for Matt. It's like, oh, it's unacceptable. He's been out for 5 years instead of 7 years, whatever it might be. Like, who cares if he's the best person for the job?
And
But-
that's the thing that really kind of got me in other new things that I learned in politics this year. So with Mattis looking for a waiver, you also have the I wish I had a better vocab word for this, but I guess desire for a civilian in that position, and I don't understand that. And I think part of that is why we've gone down this road that we have for the past 8-12 years is because we've had a civilian in that position.
I look at like the Roman Empire, right? The Romans were extremely successful at war because what Caesar did, whoever the Caesar was, Caesar would send his troops out and trust his generals to go conquer the Goths or the Huns or whoever it might be, right? They would go out to the furthest reaches of the Roman Empire and do their job. And all they had to do was let Rome know what they needed so they could be successful. And when the campaign was over, there's nothing for them to do. Like, so what I'm saying is, like, I think personally, like, war is like the most political action that a country can take because it's senators and congressmen and politicians and presidents that send 18-year-old boys out to fight with carbines and machine guns and everything else. So once that switch gets thrown, it should be the responsibility of the military to win that war. And like for me, like personally, when I was overseas, I never understood why a senator would get on an airplane and then show up at my base wearing body armor better than I'm issued for a day and then disappear. Like, why is he here? What oversight is this? So I don't know. I look at, like, I agree with you 100%, Whitey, that I think like something as important as defense of this nation should be trusted with somebody that's actually defended our nation and hasn't necessarily been a politician. So that's how you win wars.
I think it's also more of Trump pushing away from the status quo that Obama had set. You know, basically, he had a bunch of ninnies in office and nanny state idiots, and you know,
which is
Trump,
true.
well, absolutely. And Trump is going, you know what? It's time to quote unquote make America great again, and put some people with some real world experience in his cabinet and behind him to help. You know, because I think he acknowledges that he may not know what he needs to know to run the country, and he is therefore good at hiring people to help him, quote unquote, correct the course, or at least attempt to in the United States. He's done that with companies for years, so why not do it with one of the biggest corporations in the world, the United States?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that's what I'm saying, like, the best man for the best job. Like, I'm not going to hire a Marine Corps general to be a neurosurgeon, right?
Right.
So, but
you hire Ben Carson for that.
so I don't know. For me, I'm hopeful for this. Like, Kelly's got a great reputation. Mattis obviously has a great reputation. They're both warriors. At the end of the day, if there's nothing else, they're warriors. So to have Secretary of Defense as one warrior, and then have Homeland Security, because let's be honest, look at how many different acts of domestic terrorism we've had occur in America in the last year, and look at how many have occurred in Europe in the last couple of years. Like, we are still fighting the global war on terror, and unfortunately, in the last 8 years, I'm going to be honest, we haven't made a whole lot of progress because of the politics coming out of Washington. And having been one of those guys that have fought a war with one hand tied behind their back, I'm hopeful that we're going to actually get to be able to fight again and defeat our enemies and do what we need to do to squash ISIS and international terrorism. And I think the best way to do that is get guys that have actually fought terrorists. And that's what we're going to get if we get Kelly and Mattis. So
what can you speculate is going to happen with someone like that in charge with involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan in the future?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. It's like Afghanistan has turned into America's oldest war, our longest war, right? And like, I talked to buddies that have been over there in recent years, and they're like, hey, like back in the day, remember how we used to go out and patrol and fight? Yeah, we don't do that anymore. We're restricted to base, and we're just there. It's like you fly in from a helicopter, you get dropped off, you spend 6 months, and then you get picked up 6 months later and leave, and you don't leave that 100-yard by 100-yard structure. That's not bringing the fight to the enemy, right? So the thing is, like, we've lost special forces guys, we've lost all kinds of different servicemen in the Middle East in the last 8 years, and it's from lack of activity. So for me, I'm like, what are we going to do with Afghanistan? When we left Iraq, we created a vacuum, and ISIS just immediately went in. ISIS was created. They built their caliphate. They expanded it. They drastically contributed to the destruction of Syria, the instability of the region. And I'm like, I don't know how we can fix that. I don't think sending guys back in is the answer, like in quantity. But more importantly, aside from Iraq, like I spent a lot of time there, what equates to several years of my life there. And now I'm like, let it burn. I don't care anymore. I'm more worried about Afghanistan, because when we leave Afghanistan, there's no diplomatic way to do it. There's no way to do it where it's not going to have the exact same effect. So it's like, whatever. We went over there. We killed as many bad guys as we possibly could. We tried to get the people to take control of their own country in a positive way. They've been unable to do that. They've been unable to defeat their own enemies. So I don't know what more we can do. I'd rather just pull our guys home and save the money.
I have a question for you.
Save the life.
This is, again, inexperience, lack of knowledge on something like this. Is this a situation where we might be successful by literally just a scorched earth, like just go in and flatten it?
Here's the thing: it's like we live in an extremely politically correct society today.
Oh, I know that. I'm not asking that. I'm
like,
I'm asking you for your opinion on
what I'm saying is
whether
like
or not that would function.
Scorched earth isn't American policy. So let's look at it like this: like, you say the word genocide, and what do you think immediately? What specific thing in human history do you think of when you hear the word genocide? You think of the Holocaust. You think about the 6.5 million Jews that were killed by the Nazis 75 years ago. Okay, so what I'm saying is genocide is a terrible thing, but in the reality of it is, for centuries, for millennia, genocide was the way of war. That if somebody came and threatened your people and your lands, you wipe them off the face of the earth. There's probably ethnic groups of human beings that don't exist anymore because of all the conflicts that happened 10,000 years ago. They literally got wiped off the face of the earth, that we would never know about them, stricken from the history books. So, like, for me, I'm not sure scorched earth is the answer, because one, it goes against our morals and ethics as American soldiers and Marines and sailors and airmen, and it goes against U.S. policy, because what we do is we give freedom to people and help them secure that freedom and maintain it. We don't just execute them. And that's the thing, is we could have fought a much bloodier war in the Middle East over the last 10 years, over the last 15 years, but we didn't. We tried to build schools and hospitals and infrastructure to give these people not necessarily an American dream, but at least the freedom to live and raise their children in peace and without fear.
Sure. So I don't know. I mean, we're the same country. Well, I shouldn't say we're the same country. We are a version of the country that dropped 2 nuclear bombs on one country to end the war. So why? My point is that I think we need more than just fighting. We need a drastic measure to cease the war.
Yeah, but the problem, like, this is what I'm saying, is we didn't go, like, this is how you win the hearts and minds of a people, is you go and you patrol their villages and you say, what do you need? They say, we need an irrigation canal. You send engineers out there to build that canal. What do you need? We need a hospital. You send guys out there to build a hospital and train people to be nurses and doctors, right? That's how you show, like, I am here to help you and to help build your country and give the power back to you. And you can't do that when you're just assassinating people with flying murder robots. Like, nobody loved drones more than President Obama. Like, no, seriously, like, we killed more people.
I've never heard them called flying murder
robots, because that's what they essentially they are. So what I'm saying is, when you're flying a drone and you're shooting a missile or dropping a bomb or whatever, it's an extremely impersonal thing. How do you know what's going on in that city or in that street? How do you know what, like, we made this mistake. You know why 9/11 happened? Because the CIA pulled every single ground operative out of the Middle East in the 90s. And an agent named Robert Baer, said this is going to happen because we no longer have ears in the marketplace sitting there in the cafe. We don't know what's going on. Like, when you go to a bar or a restaurant, you hear people talking about the politics that are local. What do? You get a census for what the people feel. And when we don't have boots on the ground, we don't have that census. So how can we give them what they need so that we can end this war if all we're doing is surveilling and using drones instead of sending guys out there? I like all the things you want to say and all the faults we want to point out about Obama. the thing I will never forgive him for is prematurely ending the war in Iraq when we were so close to having it stable. And ultimately, in the end, we lost 8 years of American lives in Afghanistan from inactivity. I don't know what the answer is to end it, but I'm going to tell you right now that General Mattis has probably got some ideas, and I just pray to God that Trump listens to those ideas.
And just a side note, we have a listener on Facebook. Andy says Mattis means are so much better than Biden means.
That's very true.
New Jersey proposes severe firearms restrictions for ranges. This is where you would need some form of ID card in your possession to even transport your gun to the gun range.
And New Jersey remains a communist state.
Liking how 1 week you have great news for Florida and more terrible news for New Jersey.
It's
like I get invited to shooting events in New Jersey, and I don't go because I don't know their laws, and their laws are so fluid and scary that it's better for me to just avoid that state in its entirety.
Yeah, I don't go there anymore.
they're trying to pass things like the micro stamping, and then the other one, which we actually touched on several months back with the it was actually, I think, right after probably Sandy Hook or one of those big shootings where it was like, the healthcare and Fourth Amendment violations and yada, yada, yada. And sure enough, Jersey's done it. The second link in the article leads you to September 21st, 2016, where the Assembly Law and Public Safety is added again, blah, blah, blah. It literally is empowering healthcare industry professionals, including marriage counselors, to pursue the seizure of their clients' firearms without due process. So when we were talking about who makes that call for, if somebody said something, somebody did something, if they checked him in, if yada, yada, like how do you get the guns away from the crazy people? Well, you have HIPAA and you have Fourth Amendment and a slew of other privacy protection, including the ACLU, that is put in place just to protect each individual from themselves sometimes. And here you have exactly what we were hoping or not hoping happen, and that is people that are paper qualified to make a call about a constitutional right, making the call and the state backing it.
Of course, because New Jersey is full of communists and jug handle turns that nobody ever likes.
All right, moving on to North Carolina. A man fires shots in pizzeria because of fake news story about Clinton child sex trafficking.
Just sue Facebook already.
Dear Facebook.
Like I still think like we all use social media. We all use Facebook. Obviously, like we're live streaming this with Facebook. But like I think in the end, like social media might turn out to be like our greatest regret is like how much it like cancels out actual human interaction. Like I feel like Facebook in particular is driving the wedge deeper between Americans right now. So like I just it's one of those things where it's like there's no who regulates Facebook but Facebook. You know what I mean?
It's funny because I was just watching before this episode a show on Netflix from the BBC. I think it's like Black Mirror, white something. I don't know, but literally it's like a modern Twilight Zone. And the wife didn't get it, but this guy kidnaps the princess of England, and the only way he'll release her is if the prime minister has sex with a pig on live TV. Like that's the general gist of it. It's much more dramatic and British than that. And it literally at the end, the girl had ended up. I don't want to ruin the end, but the whole point of the whole thing was everyone glued to the television, everyone glued to social media then swaying an entire country's political standpoints on terrorism and this big thing. And it was just by the end, it was, look at what you've become. And I think Murr is half right. I don't think it's the kind of thing where we're going to regret it, but I think it's in its early adolescence right now.
No, I mean, it's like any other...
Hold on. And we're making all the mistakes that an early adolescent would make. So even though we have younger kids using it, it's a constantly cycling and sliding generational gap of who's using the social media. I think we as a society are getting better at using it. And right now we're making the mistakes of a 15-year-old.
Would you say that there's more technological advances today than any other time in human history? Like how rapid technology is coming out?
The speed, yes.
Okay, so this is what I'm saying. It's like when cell phones became like a consumer item, when anybody could afford it, anybody could have a cell phone in their pocket. What do we all do? We all bought cell phones, right? And then the smartphone came out, the iPhone came out. I was one of the first people to buy one, right? I'm like, oh, it's like a little computer I can have in my pocket. Why would I not want that? What I'm saying is, like, when they invented that smartphone and gave you the ability to access the internet from anywhere that you have a cell signal, we never thought about what's it going to be like when people buy smartphones and give them to their 4-year-olds. How is that going to affect them socially? How is that going to affect our culture? What I'm saying is, like, we develop technologies and we don't think about the long-term social effects. Or, like, for example, Facebook being used to bully kids into suicide. Like, it's a tool used by bullies to heckle a child into committing suicide. Like, people are dead because of social media. Like, to me, it's like,
right, but you can't prevent that. You can't prevent that from happening. You also can't do studies on the long-term effects of technology that doesn't exist on people. I mean, we have quite literally entered a new era of human existence. Like, this has transcended every culture, everything. This is a new era of human existence, and Facebook happens to be one of the staples of
it is.
I think, quite possibly the next 20 years. That business is going to continue to evolve into some massive being beyond what it currently is, and it's already massive. And we've talked about this before. If Mark Zuckerberg wanted Hillary Clinton elected and had a bad bone in him, he could have done it. I mean, quite literally, Facebook could influence the world.
That's the scary aspect of it. Is how do
it's
we
terrifying?
know,
But
how do we know that they aren't already doing that? Well, actually, they are, because of how much they throttle back gun-driven pages,
right?
And everything else.
But what they've done is not to. They haven't controlled it from a larger standpoint. They have let the people control what they consume through their subconscious. And that means that people are literally not getting anything but the same crap that they want.
Why is a sweater company allowed to pay for promotions on Facebook, but my company that makes guns cannot pay for promotions on Facebook?
Because they're a bunch of yuppie bastards.
That's what I'm saying. Is that not controlling information? Is that not affecting the social outcome of things? It's still a private entity, a private corporation controlling information and what they choose to allow, one way or the other.
Atlas has
I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
you're not wrong. It's a very complex thing, and there's a lot of elements to it. And I certainly, I don't know.
All right, we're gonna move on. Ebbs is in the house. Hey, Ebbs.
Hey, Ebbs.
Hey, boys.
Look at you with your big boy microphone.
Sorry about the delay. What was the movie? You guys are sitting and talking with all your good points. What was the movie? I can't remember if it was about technology or I don't know, but they're having some kind of discussion about morality, and the quote is something along the lines of, "You were so busy."
Wondering if you could.
It's Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that was it. Did you already say that before I got here?
No, but you said technology.
No, well, I mean, DNA, like, you guys are so busy worried about if you could do it, you didn't think about if you should do it.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is zero time is spent wondering whether or not we should for every single piece of technology we come up with now. Nobody sits there and says, what's the long-term effects of this new piece of technology or this new social media platform? We don't do that.
They don't care.
They don't care because it's about profits. And the thing is, we're all guilty of buying the app, downloading the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it might be. Like, look at it like this. Like, Donald Trump won a presidential election over Twitter. Like, imagine if the guy didn't have Twitter, right? Like, actually, like, there's a bunch of different outcomes. But Twitter was an instrumental thing in this election. To me, that's insane.
He's still using it.
Yeah, he tweets like a 15-year-old girl, just nonstop.
All right. Ammunition. Congress demands Army and Marine Corps to standardize rounds.
Yeah, I don't understand this one. I don't understand this one at all. So, all right, check this out. From Vietnam all the way up to like the late 90s, our standard round was M193. So 55 grain full metal jacket was like our warhorse round for all the services. In the 1980s, we came up with the SS-109 projectile. the steel core penetrator we all know and love is green tip. The M855 round is what it's called by the American military. It is a NATO standard round. Okay, so we developed that because the Soviets started issuing more body armor, and we wanted to make sure that our rounds would penetrate. So that's why we came with steel tip. So green tip ammunition was pretty much our standard throughout the 90s and for the last 16 years of this century, right? And a couple years ago, people said, hey, listen, like even all the way back to like Black Hawk Down in the early 90s, people identified things wrong and things that didn't work out so well for green tip. So the Marine Corps started seeking out a better round, what they call a barrier blind round, and the Army did the same. So what you ended up with is the Marine Corps came up with a round called the Mark 318, and the Army said, we're just going to update the M855 green tip, and we're going to come up with the M855 Alpha 1. So there are two approaches to the same problem, but the Army buys this brown tip now because it's like that dart is like right there. You can stab a guy in the neck with that round. It's sharp, right?
Yeah.
Like so, and the Marine Corps is still issuing standard M855 green tip and supplementing that also with 318 in combat operations. But the thing is, if you go to like a rifle range in the Army or Marine Corps right now, you're as likely to shoot one round as the other. And more importantly, both rounds are cross-compatible in every weapon. So I can give an Army guy a magazine full of Mark 318, and it's going to work in his M4, and he can hand me a magazine of brown tip M855 Alpha 1, and it's going to still work in my gun. So I don't understand why Congress is worried about this. If the Marine Corps wants to spend Marine Corps money on the round they feel gives their warfighters the best advantage, then why tell them no? And if the Army wants to buy M855 Alpha 1 for their soldiers and they feel that's the best round, why I don't understand. Like the rounds work in either guy's guns, so why it's an issue?
It's going to come down to money and supply. So if
well,
one's Federal and one's Winchester, just throwing random names out there. If one's Federal and one's Winchester, for instance.
Well, I'm pretty sure all 5.56 ammunition is made by Lake City. I mean, I don't think I ever got issued a round that wasn't made by Lake City. But what I'm saying is, like, both rounds, both the Mark 318 and the M855 Alpha 1, they're both expensive rounds to manufacture. They're not cheap in comparison to 55 grain full metal jacket that we buy at the gun shop. What I see it from like the point of view of like a logistical nightmare. But the thing is, I can go up to a British Royal Marine, a German Bundeswehr soldier, and get ammunition from him, and it'll work in my M4 carbine. It'll work in my M16. It'll work in my Mark 12. It'll work in any American 5.56 gun because it's a NATO standard. So I don't understand why. Like I can see that has to be what it is, Whitey. You have to be.
It's got to be because listen, I'll tell you right now, from a lot of the things, and Jake can attest to this too, because of Patriot Patch Company. If I order 10,000 of one thing, I get a much bigger discount than if I order 1,000 of two things, or 5,000 of two things, just to make the math even. Plain and simple.
Like what I'm saying is, like, if the Army wants to buy a certain type of round because they feel it's the best, it's Army budget. It's their money getting spent on it. And the Marine Corps has their own budget, which actually comes from the Navy, which screws us over all the time. Like, hey, they wanted to buy a new battleship this year, so sorry, you can't zero your gun. It's like there's no ammo for training. Like, people don't realize that like units have budgets, and they like a battalion commander, a squadron commander, whatever kind of commander has to stay in budget. And if he goes over budget, he usually gets in a lot of trouble. It's a big deal. So it's like a company that way. That's why I don't understand when people say, "Oh, military guys don't have any understanding of business." It's like you have to be in charge of this organization and the logistics to go behind it, and money. Money is a huge part of it for officers.
Nathan, who says that?
What do you mean?
Who says military guys don't know anything about business?
Like candid conversations with people.
So just to keep driving off this cliff. So I know that Department of Homeland Security actually buys ammunition for several agencies, including FBI, Secret Service, et cetera, et cetera. Does DOD not purchase ammo for branches, and the branches like Marines and Air Force say, here's how much I need and here's our specs?
The FBI, the DEA, and the ATF all carry 3 different handguns. Okay? All those organizations issue different rifles, completely different brands of rifles, right? And for all those handguns and all those rifles, each of those federal agencies purchase whatever ammunition they want and they feel is the best. Now, most people take the lead from the FBI because the FBI has that fancy lab down in Quantico, and the FBI is like, we shot 1 million pounds of gelatin and we feel that this is the best round. And then everybody's like, well, if the FBI is issuing it to their guys, I can issue it to my deputies because they did the legwork for me, right? So there's no standardization at all on the federal side or even state or local law enforcement. So what I'm saying is like there's millions and millions and millions of rounds being purchased by the government every year, and it's like in a million calibers and a million bullet weights and everything else. I don't see what the big deal is. Like, yeah, I guess if everybody in America, if you're a cop, a soldier, Marine, whatever, you're issued 62 grain green tip and you can only have a Glock 19 and it can only have 115 grain hollow point, then yeah, we'd all save a lot of money, right? But not everybody feels that's the right way to go. So I don't know. I mean, it's like this is like a non-issue for me. It doesn't matter. Both rounds are good rounds, but green tip was fine for what it is. 55 grain is great for what it is. I have 55 grain polymer tips in my home defense rifle because those things are like little grenades when they go off. I'm not shooting through car doors. I'm shooting somebody in my living room. So I chose the best round for my application. Why not let the Marines do the same for their guys, and the Army do that for their own too?
All right. This leads us into U.S. continues global arms trade domination despite dip. Russian companies sustain surge. American defense companies continue to dominate the global arms industry despite a fifth straight year of decline, while Russian sales continue to boom. This is according to a Stockholm International Peace Research Institute study released its top 100 list of largest arms producing and military service companies in the world. Which
America.
I didn't even know something like this existed, but it's cool.
It makes perfect sense. Like for me as a manufacturer, I don't want to dominate this conversation, but what I'm saying is for me as a manufacturer and dealing with ITAR, it makes perfect sense. Like I have people in France and Germany and England call me and ask about products, and if I want to mail them a handguard for a SCAR is sold worldwide. The Kenyan Special Forces carry an FN SCAR. Like
that's freaking sweet. The pirate fighters themselves.
Yeah, right. The French Foreign Legion, German Special Forces. Like there's a lot of FN SCARs out there, but my company makes a lot of SCAR products. So if the French GIGN wants to buy a SCAR handguard for me, I have to go through the State Department to ship it to them because it's an ITAR controlled item, right? So the thing is like, well, why doesn't somebody in France make handguards to sell locally? Because there's no commercial market. The thing is, if you spool up and you make a product and you spend all that money on R&D, your citizenry isn't allowed to own that gun. If the government decides not to buy it, then what do you do with that inventory? You're screwed. You can't sell it to anybody. So of course America is going to dominate that because this is a land of innovation. Like we have so many guys here. You have hundreds and hundreds of small machine shops coming up with great gun ideas every day. You go on Instagram because this is a nonstop feed of cool guns nonstop. And some of that stuff gets sold overseas. So the rest of the world does not have the capability to develop the stuff that we do. And that's one of the reasons why we have such a strong community of shooters.
It says the combined arms sales of the 11 Russian companies in the top, or in 2015, top 100 reached $30 billion, representing 8.1% of the top 100 sales. That's an increase of 6.2%. You have any concern about the boom in the Russian arms?
Like look like this. Like what are the Russians making they sell? So you want the AK-47 in 7.62 or 5.45? Do the voice, Abs. I can't do the voice.
You want the AK in 5.45 or 7.62? Or sorry, 7.62.
He's most glorious. So like what I'm saying is like the Russians, like yeah, they make some cool guns, but they don't really deviate from. It's like just a common. They love the AK-47 in the state. Like even their current service rifle is still like a modified AK-47, right? And it's interesting for me to look at how many of our former enemies now issue M16s or M4 carbines, and how many of our allied nations. Like look at it like this: the HK beat the roller lock drum for 50 years. That roller lock is the most reliable, great thing, and HKs were like all the rage back in the 90s. And then they make a piston-driven M16. They make a piston-driven AR-15, and the whole world buys it. All American Special Forces guys buy it, right? So it's like an American design from the 1950s. They put a piston in. So much for superior German engineering, right? Why'd they give up on the G36 and all their other programs and go with an American design in the end? So for me, I look at it as like there's so many countries issuing M16 based weapons now. Like I said, like the Kenyans have SCARs. To me, that's phenomenal. That's great. That's a great gun. Their troops need good guns to fight terrorists just the same as we do. So I don't know. I don't think the Russians are appealing to their market anymore because they're not really doing anything new and crazy. Anything that they're not, you gotta give the people what they want. And if enough people say we want M16s, you build M16s for them.
Stealth Gear USA makes this program possible. Check out the new Stealth Gear USA SG Revolution line of holsters. New slim breathable polymer backing. Whitey, I know you've been trying these out. You're muted. Hand built in America. Every Stealth Gear USA custom molded to fit your exact firearm.
I don't have mine on me because it's actually upstairs with my gun, trying it out in the not as cold as where Ebbs is, but for here it took a nosedive down to like 24, 25 in the morning, and against the skin, which I don't like doing. It literally, it's like that gym mat material. It just kind of mimics your body without getting all clammy and gross.
Absolutely. They have their awesome 45-day no questions asked guarantee, so don't hesitate to try out a Stealth Gear USA holster. They also have really cool magazine carriers and light carrier combos that you can get if you're looking to carry a light and magazine at the same time. They have those as well. StealthGearUSA.com. Also use the promo code TWIG for 10% off any order. Promo code TWIG for 10% off. StealthGearUSA.com. Sandy Hook families put out violence awareness PSA. Any of you guys see this video?
Was this the good one? This was the good one, right?
Yeah, I liked it.
Well, expand on that. Why is that, Whitey?
I liked it because it didn't put the onus on the actual firearm. It didn't put the onus on the Second Amendment. It didn't put the onus on the NRA. It identified, and some of it is a bit broad stroked, but it was a matter of saying, did you catch that? Because this is kind of what's happening every day. Now, that doesn't mean that when any teenager is reading a guns and ammo magazine, when every teenager that is pegging a finger behind, somebody with authority, that every teenager is making gun fingers. That doesn't, to me, that commercial didn't mean that that's what I should be looking for. Those are the signs. But it was more of a focus of awareness. You need to be paying more attention, and it's not just the teacher's job. That's why I liked it.
And they present it kind of like it's the community's job, like pay attention.
Yes.
It's just true.
I was afraid to even say it like online because of how it's perceived, because it comes with that parents of the Sandy Hook families produced. If that just came out and it had even an NRA badge on it, it would have been crucified or something else says, oh, listen, the message came across. And if you take away who put that message out, I liked it. And I hope the hate mail comes in.
Directed directly to Whitey. So
directed to Whiteford J Freedom.
So do you guys have opposing opinions?
Group.
No,
I agreed with you.
Like,
everyone's just staring in silence like I'm the guy who just, said the N-word.
No, like it was like, Whitey, to be honest with you, that was a really mature thing for you to say. Like that's hard to admit when your enemy does something good. It's hard to give them kudos, and you just did. So what I'm saying is, like, look, nobody on the left and nobody on the right, nobody wants people to die. They don't want children to get murdered. Nobody wants that, right? That's one thing we can collectively agree on, is we don't want innocent people to die in any way, let alone a school shooting. So, like, the thing is, like, all right, so 9 times out of 10, when these people put stuff out, we fight it and we disagree with it because it's usually very biased and full of lies, and it's a detriment to what we're trying to accomplish. So for them to actually put something out that is good, that we can agree on, I mean, that's a hard pill to swallow, but that's what we need to do as a country. We need to stop fighting amongst ourselves over stupid stuff and arguing on Facebook, and actually get to the root of our division. I think it's a good message too. So it's not like you want to send me some hate mail. Most of you guys do already. So here's another thing to put in that email. But it's like, it doesn't matter if who created it. The message is a good message that I think we can all get behind.
Well, here's the fact too. Like, I think one of the broadest views is we're never going to stop seeing videos about quote unquote gun violence. So like we might as well offer some insights into ones that are at least towing the line of doing it right instead of blasting every single one of doing it wrong. Like here's one that actually hints more heavily at responsibility. And this is everybody's responsibility. Josh, that's what I was getting at before you went into your dissertation on it, was that no, like I just brought it up and asked if that was the one that was, because I agreed with it. I had seen it a couple of days ago or whatever, and it's one of those things I clicked on with an eye roll, like begrudgingly. I'm just starting post-election. I'm just starting to get to the point where I'll begin to click on things again, and so this was one of those like hesitant, let's see what this is. And I did, and I just kind of sat back and just thought about it for a minute. I was like, let's see, I didn't see anything with every town listed with that. There was no Hillary campaign information along with it by the parents of. Like this legitimately looks like people who are concerned about like an epidemic, whether it be mental illness or unsafe practices or just people turning a deaf eye. Like we could go all the way back to Nathan's discussion about the cell phones and who has them and what an unaware culture we're creating, where we don't see people dealing with real anguish or problems that could affect all of us. And so paying attention and seeing where people are and identifying potential struggles and issues ahead of time, I think is a brilliant message, whether it's guns or anything.
Yeah, well said. Ohio, or wait, skipping a story here. Investigative report disparity between buying and carrying guns. Companion story: the trace sallies into the caliber war with confusing article. So this trace article, they release a chart with it that has different calibers denoted between small and large caliber, quote unquote.
So is this just like another continuation of 9mm versus 45 nonsense?
Well, it's more like why is I can't get a pull up, but it had like 12 gauge was listed as small caliber, 38 and 357 were listed as separate small and large caliber when they use the same projectile, and stuff like that.
This is the one that had like 9. It was just, this is the one that spreads misinformation about like realistic caliber sizes, not an argument about which caliber is better than the other. Right. And so it's spreading misinformation about what's most dangerous. So I think what they do intentionally is take things that are mentioned commonly, like so more popular terms that people would resonate with, and establish a more dangerous vibe with that specific caliber.
Do any of you guys actually know? Does anybody here, and like listeners, viewers, does anybody actually know a firearms expert, like an actual, what we would all identify like without dispute that this guy is an expert who hates guns, that doesn't like guns? What I'm saying is, like, everybody I know that's a legitimate firearms expert loves guns as much as I do, right? People accuse me and they accuse you guys of being experts too. I don't consider myself an expert. I'm more experienced than some, right?
Accused is exactly how I would put it.
I'm definitely not an expert, right?
Doesn't the HuffPost have that
so what I'm
gun
saying
guy that...
It's like whenever a senator stands there with an AR-15 and calls it a ghost gun. I'm like, how can you speak intelligently about something you have no knowledge of? Like, so like these experts that they always put on CNN and whatnot, they always proceed to embarrass themselves and misname things and mislead people. And it's like the closest thing they can come up with an expert, like, well, I shot a gun once, so I'm an expert. I'll go on CNN and talk bad about the Second Amendment. I'm just saying, I don't know anybody that's legitimately devoted their life to studying the gun who doesn't like them. So it's like, here you have these people trying to educate their people, and it's a bunch of people that know nothing about guns talking about guns.
But
how's that?
all you have to have for a resume to be on any major network is the network saying you are an expert or have some sort of a job title with your name or
be an author.
Or
I'm just saying you can't study guns and not fall in love with them. Like ever take a person who's anti-gun shooting and they shoot guns for one time and they realize how much fun it is and they're like, wow, this is really cool. And then all of a sudden they change their political view and they're like, wow, I can't believe I didn't like guns. And they go buy their first gun. I've seen this happen with dozens and dozens of people because it was ignorance. People are naturally scared of things they don't understand. So we avoid them or we condemn them. And once you gain knowledge, you realize, oh, this thing wasn't that scary after all. I don't know. I look at it, it's like this is them trying to spread information, good knowledge. In reality, it's just misleading. It's just stupid, and it's based on people that don't know what they're talking about, reporting things that they heard secondhand. It's stupid.
One Facebook commenter brings up a good point. There was a Senate candidate, Democrat, that did the commercial where he was blindfolded and did the AR-15 teardown or whatever. And he was a former Marine too, if I remember right. But he was on the anti-gun side.
Yeah, I want to call him an expert. I'm going to say just because a guy can take an AR-15 apart, which is essentially the same weapon he was issued. Believe me, I know fellow Marines and soldiers that are anti-gun, but just because they're professional soldiers and Marines, I wouldn't call them necessarily experts.
Yeah.
Just because you got the eagle over an anchor over your heart doesn't mean you know how to field, strip, and assemble a 50 cal. Doesn't mean you have to own your own gun. I'm just saying like legitimate experts, like people like the late Dr. Atwater, who was a curator at the American Ordnance Museum. He was a civilian that knew more about guns than any man I ever met in my entire life. Like the guy he had a PhD in history, and he was a doctor of guns essentially. But I'm just saying it's like anybody that I respect and look up to as an expert in the gun industry, I don't know of a single one, if there's such a thing as one that's anti-gun.
I see your PhD here. What do you practice? Guns.
I'm Dr. Guns.
Ohio firefighter shot while responding to house fire. And I kind of just put the story in here. They're actually still looking for the person that shot these firefighters. It may have been someone that came over and was like yelling at them while they were trying to put out the fire. But I put this in here because, firefighters, they show up in a lot of the same situations that police show up to, but they're essentially always have to be unarmed.
Mm-hmm.
And they're there to save lives. That's the only reason they're there. And yet they got to deal with crazy people almost every day. And just kind of my thoughts go out to these guys because I have some friends that are firefighters, and just some of the stories they tell, it's just I'm like, man, no, thank you, not a job for me.
Imagine being a firefighter and like not knowing if you're gonna get shot at work today. Like I understand, like for a cop, for as long as there's been law enforcement officers, like every day you put that uniform on is a day you might get in a gunfight. It's like part of the reality of the job. But I don't think like firefighters 30 years ago ever thought that the people they're trying to save are going to try to kill them.
Right.
The Ruger Mark III is discontinued?
Yeah, Ruger Mark III.
It's because the Mark IV fixes all the problems with the 3. It's not as earth shattering as you think when you click on it.
Oh, but you may have a collector's item.
Well, the Mark IV is a lot easier to disassemble, right, Ebbs?
Yeah, that's one pin, which I have one down here, and it's why. But like, okay, so here's another problem then. If you're gonna introduce a Mark IV and it's so groundbreaking, how do none of the first 3 models that you release threaded for a suppressor right off the bat? How is that? How is that not 100% intuitive? Because the Ruger is great in that they keep releasing things. The problem with Ruger is that they have the same 10 suits sitting around a table convincing each other that their ideas are the best without asking anybody else what they want.
In defense of Ruger, they are slowly getting better at that. But I think that's part of their corporate culture dating back to Bill Ruger. Bill Ruger very publicly said that he didn't think that civilians needed high capacity magazines. So back in the day, if you owned like a Mini 14 or a Mini 30, a factory 30 rounder was like impossible to find and crazy expensive when you did. So I look at it like this, like, the Mark 1 came out in the 1950s. It's a hallmark classic American pistol. A lot of people have learned how to shoot pistol with a Mark 1, 2, and 3, right? So it's a neat gun. I mean, like, you pretty much need like a certification. Is like taking apart like a Swiss watch, like trying to get that bolt back in there.
A lot of people have also met their gunsmith because of the Ruger Mark 1.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, I know you're saying that's like suppressors. Like 1999, like if you knew somebody that had a suppressor, it was like, wow, how did you get this? And now, like 16 years later, like, it's another suppressor.
It's 2016 though. That's the thing. So when the 3 started being made in 04 or 05 or whatever it was, which was like because I didn't have pistols until like the 3 was out, so I'd only seen ones in people's collections. So then the 3 comes out. Yeah, that's fine. And then, but we get the 2245 and the ultralight versions and stuff like that. Different grip angle controls, all that. You get suppressed versions of that. Thank God for Volquartsen and Taxol and those guys that are making ultralight barrels and threaded barrels and stuff like that. But Ruger just has, like, they can see all of that aftermarket variety that's so popular and just basically just skim the cream off the top and go, okay, we're going to do the 4, and we're giving so with a gun that they literally gave people what they've been asking everyone forever: easy takedown, easy cleaning, easy reassembly. They did that. They're like, okay, we listened, but not all the way. Like, there was no intuition into the listening. It was just so cut. So they listened to forums, and they listened to hate mail, and they listened to comments, but they didn't listen to what the culture of the industry itself is doing. They didn't read that. That's what I'm saying.
I'll be surprised if they don't have a threaded barrel version within the next year or so.
They will. Oh, I have no doubt.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you're going to introduce a new handgun, right? And like, say, I don't know, I can't tell you for one way or the other if it's more expensive than a Mark III or not. But if it is more expensive than a Mark III, then the thing is, like, listen, we want to put a threaded barrel or have a threaded barrel version. But bear in mind, if you thread a barrel, that's 2 more machine ops. That's added cost to the gun. So, like, hey, this is where we got to price it to be able to sell it. If we make them all threaded, then it's going to like be too high of an introductory price.
I don't think so. I think at the mass that they are producing those on the line, to add one more step and $30 to the sticker, which is probably what, $30 to $50 probably would it be. I would pay it hands down. I would probably, if there was $100 different, just because in my mind that's a completely different gun. I can do different things with it. And hey, they thought of me when they built this, and I don't have to. Now, some people will say, well, I don't even care what barrel it has because I'm going to take it off immediately and I'm going to put a Taxol barrel on within a week, or I already have the Taxol barrel and I'm ready to put that on immediately, because people like buying stock Glocks to put everything else on it, instead of just,
like, for them to introduce it as a new gun, it makes sense that it's not suppressed or not threaded for a suppressor. They're definitely going to make like the Takedown 1022. I was just like in my local gun shop the other day, and I'm like, oh wow, they have a Takedown 1022 that's threaded now. That's awesome. Like, I was waiting to buy one until they had a threaded barrel, so I didn't have to deal with getting my barrel threaded or finding an aftermarket barrel. And that's a relatively new gun. It's only been out for a couple of years, but there's one out there now. Like I said, I think they're getting better at it, Ebbs. I agree with you. There's no reason why they can't have both at the same time, but I can understand. Well, it's a big, slow machine.
Having worked closely with Ruger for 4 years or so, I can tell you for a fact, probably they're using it as an opportunity to release another model. So it counts as an innovation. It's a down the road thing. They probably just did this to us to make us wait so they can release it as another model. And then it's a pat on the back. Hey, look, we did listen this time.
They got to have something for SHOT Show.
Yeah,
it would make sense. For SHOT Show.
It would make sense to release that product at SHOT Show because their
the
market
same
is going to be there.
And the same thing happened, like they came out with their Charger takedowns 2 years ago. So really cool. They came out with a takedown 5 years ago, Charger takedown, which is a pistol version, 2 years ago, and they have like an AR grip, so you can put whatever grip on it you want, and then they have a fixed model and a takedown model, both threaded, but it's like a 50th anniversary thing. But they didn't. Everybody's going, where are the heavy barrels? Where's the target barrels? Like, why do you do that? Well, what did they do later? Like, they come out with Chargers takedowns that are available with heavy barrels.
Well, let me ask you this: why did Glock come out with the Glock 42 before a year later they released the 43?
Because it's a better gun.
Because if they would have released the 43 first, nobody would have bought the 42. That's the answer.
But the 42 is a better gun.
I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's about demand.
Let's get out of the weeds here. The future is here. Laser firing pin ignition system of the Voyager X3 rifle. Laser firing pin? What?
Did you just say Voyager?
It's VOERE.
I would say Ver.
Yeah. Whatever. This thing's cool. It'll fire traditional cased ammunition, but you have to have a special primer. So when you pull the trigger, it like ignites the laser, which like cooks off the primer or something instantly, and makes the casing detonate the way that traditional percussion primers do. So I mean, it's kind of a neat thing. I'm biased against anything battery powered when it comes to how my firearm fires, but I mean, this is the same company that's developed caseless ammunition rifles and some pretty forward thinking stuff, you know.
Well, the thought behind it is twofold. Like, yeah, you have the battery and the electronic caveat to it, but I think what they're thinking of is, hey, we're eliminating a moving part or something that can break. I mean, you're basically eliminating it for something else that can break.
I'm willing to bet that a firing pin and a hammer is still significantly more reliable than a laser diode and circuitry and everything else, though, Ebbs.
But somebody needed a reason to come up with it.
Well, this is total marketing for, they're going to sell this to some AR manufacturer down the road when they prove this technology, because who doesn't want a laser fired AR-15?
Think about any accurized rifle though, or anything like the purpose of accurizing something is shortening up distance between movement and removing play. So you're trying to crunch down all the variables between that trigger being pulled and the bullet leaving the barrel, because you have a handful of things, even a half a dozen things that can happen from the time the trigger is pulled to the time the bullet leaves. So if you can eliminate 2 or 3 of those, are you creating a more accurate rifle as a result of it?
So why is it? All right, so look at it like this. Like 90, I'm going to go bold here. So more hate mail. 95% of people, myself included, cannot shoot a gun to the mechanical capability of the firearm. And those that do, there's guys that build rifles and have rifles that shoot one-hole groups at 100 yards. Like, how do you get better? What more do you want than one whole group at 100 yards? And
but there's always those guys. I think Abs is right here. It's always those precision or like Olympic shooter type, market here. That if you pair this with like an electronic trigger, you're taking away all mechanical movement almost.
But there's not that much mechanical movement by the time the trigger's pressed and the weapon is firing around.
But there's that much,
It's
there's always
an insignificant amount of time.
Yeah,
if that's costing you the ability to hit your target,
look at those Olympic shooters that have all those gadgets and everything hanging off their face.
Well, from a business standpoint, is that a big enough niche percentage for you to justify creating and selling said product?
Okay, no. First of all, this was developed, created, and is marketed right now in Europe. Completely different shooting culture than what we have here. Okay, looking for ways to decriminalize the way the firearm originally was, and make a new, more civilized version of it, less crude, more sophisticated. Look at us hunting stags on horseback with hounds and foxes and all the like. And at the same time, can go like to the counter of their gun shop and buy a silencer.
No, wait a minute.
So, like, hold on a second, Whitey. So, Jake, I didn't want to do it, man. I'm really sorry. But I have to bring up Remington because no. Because do you guys remember years ago, Remington made a bolt action rifle. They made a bolt action weapon that was electronically fired, and it worked in a very similar way. But instead of a laser like cooking off the primer to make it detonate, it was like almost like a model rocket. Like there's 2 electrodes that connected the circuit, and so it was like a traditional metallic case cartridge that fired in a similar way. It was a different approach to the same outcome, right? And that gun was on the market, and nobody wanted to buy it because you couldn't get ammo for it. It took a special primer, just like this system has its own special primer. So if you can't just go into Bill's gun shop and buy a box of ammo that's going to work in your gun, often the market turns their back on it. And that rifle, I think, is like a collector's item now because they discontinued it within a year because of how bad the sales were.
So there wasn't that in the inline muzzleloader movement. CVA released a rifle probably about 2006, maybe 05, 06. It was called the Electra, and it was a top loading for your charge and your projectile, but it had an electrical ignition system that powered off like a 9-volt battery or something like that. And basically what it did was it sent an electrical charge into the chamber where your powder was, creating foolproof ignition, supposedly, instead of the 209 style shotgun primers that inline muzzleloaders have gone to nowadays. And it was a neat concept, same type of thing, but it didn't last. People, it was so counter. It was like people refused to latch onto that. And so it says in the article that Vor, however it's pronounced, in Austria came up. They've been doing these electrical ignition systems since 1991.
But here's a Claymore clacker from the 1950s. Okay. Like it's electrically detonating a munition, right? So like what I'm saying is like electrical, using a non-percussion means of detonating something is not a new concept. Does anybody complain about the Claymore clacker not being an effective means of detonating a landmine? No, these things are very, very reliable systems. So why don't we use that in more systems? We've had 50, 60 years to figure it out. Why don't we have it in firearms?
I hope everybody who's listening and not watching understands that Nathan has a Claymore detonator, a manual detonator in his hand, and it is real. This is
that he got from his kitchen counter.
There's no difference. Listen,
this is what sets the This Week in Guns apart from the 22 other weekly gun podcasts.
That's right.
On the web today is we have a Claymore clacker.
But look, actually, guys make vape mods out of these, which I think is kind of cool.
I know, I want one.
This is nothing. There's no difference between this and a grill igniter. You know why? Because they're both piezoelectric. When you pull this thing, it spins a little copper wheel and generates its own electricity, which goes down 2 strands of wire and detonates a blasting cap. It's not rocket science. It's literally the easiest thing in the world. This is nothing more than a miniature motor that generates electricity.
So funny.
Wait, Nate. In your home defense layout, how many Claymore mines are involved?
I don't have it. Look, I follow the law, okay? Because I don't want to go to federal prison. But the thing is, it's like if you understand science, then you can figure out how to make a Claymore mine by going to Home Depot. That's why, you guys hear me rant about limiting technology and knowledge. If you want to have a basic understanding of how science works, you can make a Claymore mine. It's not like a secret. It's just science.
So a dozen
science.
No, it's like if it's the apocalypse, I can figure out how to make Claymore mines with stuff at the local hardware store in about 20 minutes. It's not that hard to do.
I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is this though. It's like we're kind of getting off topic with it in the sense, and I want to move along, but that's a piezoelectric detonator that's been around since the 1950s. We have firearms. Other people have done this before using electricity to detonate a metallic cartridge to create gas to propel a projectile, right? And my thing is this: this is cool, it's neat. I doubt that it's gonna take off because it's such a proprietary thing. You have to have their primer, okay? You have to have it for the cartridge to work. So whether or not there's availability of that primer is going to determine whether or not it's successful or not. I'm saying this is until we eventually leave chemical gas propellant for projectiles, you're not going to see anything new and innovative. This has already been done before, but they're using a laser instead of a diode or electrical hookup. So until we leave stored chemical energy in the form of gunpowder, you're not going to see anything cool and exciting. I want my what was the gun in plasma, 40-watt plasma cannon or whatever from Aliens? You guys know what I'm saying about it?
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. The blue shoots the blue, whatever sludge looking stuff.
Yeah, like until we like actually leave metallic cartridges and go to caseless ammunition, or we go to like a different form of energy to propel that projectile, or maybe there's no projectile at all anymore. Now it's like Star Wars, when we're shooting red lasers at green lasers. Like it's cool, but it's not that cool.
Abs, I cut you off.
What I was saying is irrelevant at this point.
Matthew says Abrams, he's watching on Facebook Live. He says that Abrams tank has an electrical firing pin that sends a charge into the round.
So this is like the what's the Keltec 308 bullpup that's designed after the Abrams firing system. This is just, they got the idea from Keltec, obviously.
Or maybe they got the idea from a Claymore. I'm just saying, it's like, whatever. Other people have figured this out a long time ago.
End of story. The Claymore, Clacker, and the M1 Abrams had a baby, and it's this Austrian rifle.
Kalashnikov USA sued over contract violations. A Pennsylvania machine shop is suing Kalashnikov USA and subcontractor for violating agreements and a business arrangement. Has anyone seen any of these rifles actually in gun stores for sale?
The actual Kalashnikov USA made AK?
Yeah.
I haven't personally, but I haven't
seen them out here at all.
Apparently no one else is either. So curious where this lawsuit's going to take the whole company as well.
Further into the public spotlight with no products.
Right.
They have a booth at SHOT Show too, don't they?
Yeah, they always have booths at the show.
So, I mean, the 12 guns that they did make are on display.
They're on display.
You can see them.
You can see them.
Going to the California compliant ARs, Exile Machine AR shotgun stock adapter. What do you guys think of this?
So, like, California's running out of time, right? Like, if you want an AR-15, you have to have it by like the end of the month or something.
Is it January 1st?
Goes live in 2017. Yep.
So the bottom line is, like, this stock adapter, we'll call it an adapter, is proof that there's always a way, right? That we could go back to the Jurassic Park reference and say life found a way. Like, this is. This is life found a way for AR-15s in California, because it's this completely surpasses any other compliant stock that we've seen yet, in a combination of abomination and stupidity and mass confusion. And what does it feel like to shoot? All I can think about is what does that feel like to put to your shoulder? It's like based on where the buttstock is to where the buffer tube is, so your cheek weld is so high, you have like 8 inches of height from your center of scope, so your optical center to
but you're still getting your cheek weld on the buffer.
So you still are, exactly. You still are. So you just have to put it in your actual armpit, not your shoulder pocket,
right?
Which, I mean, 5.56 is a low recoil round. Like, I wouldn't want somebody like Peter Palma shooting at me with this gun.
It found a way. Peter Palma can make it work. Now, when they put the Magpul SGA on it,
it looks pretty good.
It's kind of awesome.
So
like,
basically,
I want one.
This is an adapter that adapts a standard AR lower to take like a Remington 870 stock or a Mossberg 500 stock. And you guys need to go look at this thing because it is absolutely ridiculous. It looks, I can't even describe how it looks. But the thing is, it's like, all right, so does this make it legal now? Like, it's a loophole around laws that don't make sense in the first place. Like, I think I could do some good work with that gun. Seriously. As ridiculous as it is, I think I could still manage to hit a man-sized target at 500 yards with that configuration.
No, with the Magpul stock, you're kind of like, all right. You know, it looks like something from like Terminator Genesis or something.
The funny thing is, if you then put like a SIG brace on top of that, you would have then created a thumb hole stock, which negates California
No,
compliance.
that's like dividing by zero, Whitey. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Don't take
It's
it.
breaking down the fourth wall. All of
That
It's
takes
like
us-
if you ask somebody to create a World War II German gun out of modern components, like that. It's just weird looking. Like
I would say in the 1940s, the Germans even had better ideas than that. This is like a
Speaking of weird-
1920s Russian design, maybe.
Speaking of weird, Hera Arms CQR stock is pictured on a California Ruger AR 556. It's another attempt to get around California's new laws.
and Four Guys Guns may be doing a pre-order on them.
Really?
So, like this stock thing, what Hair Arms? They're a German company, right?
Yeah, they're based out of Germany. There's only one importer in the United States, and they're based out in, I believe, Utah. We made friends with Hera a while back. It showed up like an Instagram picture. We reached out. They liked us, and we sell their magazines. We sell a bunch of their accessories, and they're comparable. They're absolutely comparable to some brands. There's some things I do like, some things I don't like from Hera. But as a company, they've been great. And for like retail stuff, that what little we do with Four Guys Guns, the stuff sells really well. So when they came out with this, and we had posted up another company, not to drift too far off topic, another company called Kiln is coming soon, and they created a really, really sick looking buttstock that is straight out of like a modern or futuristic video game. And the reason for that being is that it's literally like a Blizzard and a what's the big sports video game company?
EA.
EA. Their game designers and modelers said, "Look, is it possible for us to make this in real life?" And it literally took off. It's by far in the past month the largest interaction value we've had on our Facebook page was when I put just a picture of this up. No explanation, no name, no nothing, because we were basically just putting a feeler out to say, hey, where did this come from? By the end of the day, we had talked to the manufacturer, and we also got a call from Hera saying, that looks a lot like ours that we're coming out with, and that opened up some dialogue. And so now, since this will be on the market, and they do have a California compliant version, we were like, yes, we'd love to do a pre-order with you guys. So we're working on it. It's not, in the books yet, so please nobody quote me on that or crucify me if it doesn't happen. I'd like it to happen.
So let me ask this: like the thumbhole stock thing. For those of you who weren't alive in the '90s, like thumbhole stocks were like the way around the protruding pistol grip nonsense, right? So I'm looking at this thing, the CQR stock from Hera, and this California like compliant one. It's got like the thumbhole portion is filled in, so like you would just kind of like hold it by the front of the grip and still engage the trigger. It would work the same as whatever stock have on your favorite AR-15 right now. And if you own the stock and a cordless drill, you have a thumbhole stock in about 3 seconds, right?
You don't have to. It's actually removable.
Oh, it's removable
By
even
tool.
weirder.
Yeah. So
By tool.
the same thing with, it's like literally like a barrier. And what's his face? Off the Grid Concepts out in California. Or is he in Washington? I can't remember. He actually just created like a Kydex wraparound that utilizes the same screws and captures as holsters to take anything that is currently in a pistol grip buttstock format,
yeah.
and it goes around, wraps around, and it screws together, and that's California compliant.
What I'm asking though, Whitey, is what is the market for this? People that aren't allowed to have pistol grips and people that just want something that looks different? Like how big of a market is that?
Dude, so if I'll see if I can find it and send you a link to that actual, I think it reached something like 3.5 million people with over like 6,000 comments and sub-comments and conversations about this. And what it boils down to is what's the difference between to John Q, every man who shoots 200 rounds, like maybe, a fiscal quarter, or if not a year? What's the difference between an M&P, AR-15 and a Daniel Defense and a Falcor, a War Sport, any prestigious or boutique brand you want to throw out there? What's the difference when they're putting 200 rounds, maybe a year downrange? Nothing. So they want something that's going to jazz it up because they saw it online, because they played with it in a video game. It's something that they can more associate to. And as Firearms starts making that leap from, I was a former this and I did that and I killed people here, into back in the old days where every American does it, in this day and age, you're going to start seeing some cosmetic stuff. And if it's functional and it's something different than a standard A2 or even a Magpul CTR or something like that, and it looks like something that they think looks cool, it's like spoilers on Hondas, dude.
Well, then
So-
you have guys that are hunting with ARs that want an AR that looks a little bit more like a hunting rifle or something like that, and they go, they see that, and whether they care about where it's compliant or not, they immediately go, "Oh, that would look super sweet on a hunting AR." I'm not kidding.
Yeah, and then they dip it, they'd paint it, they'd Cerakote it.
I've heard it hundreds of times.
It looks to me like something that would really appeal, like you were saying with the video game kids, right? Like we call gun culture 2.0. Like there's kids that grow up playing video games, and when they turn old enough to buy a gun, they want the gun that they had, their favorite gun from the video game, right? And like to me, at first I thought it was like, oh, this is stupid, right? But now I'm 100% for it because it's the next generation shooter. Like they realize that, hey, this is a deadly weapon. This is something that's very powerful, but they like something and they want to own that. And if it gets them into shooting and defending the Second Amendment, what do I care? Like I don't collect Lee Enfields. I don't own a Lee Enfield, but I think they're neat guns. Would I ever buy one? No. But if like you want to collect Lee Enfields and that's like your genre gun stuff, then I'm going to support you all the way. Same thing if it's like you want to collect mini guns. I wish I had the money to play, but I don't.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and that's the generational gap that's about to happen. So take Jake, for instance, purveyor of fine, PVC products. What's one of our favorite patches that he's made?
Safe space.
It's dangerous to go alone.
Oh,
take this. What's that from? That's from our childhood. And I think you hit the nail on the head. So all these kids that played Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 that are now coming into, that age of, I'm going to go buy guns. I don't live at home anymore. I'm going to do what I want. America, America, America. And what do? They go get the Halo stock. They get the, Modern Warfare Spacewalk, whatever it's up to now. And I guarantee you'll see at least 15 blown deadline Boba Fett paint jobs on that stock.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Like it might not be for you, but there's somebody out there that's going to like it.
There is a market for it, right?
Well, I'm offended. I'm not necessarily offended. Somebody here is offended. We're to the I'm offended section. Just one story this week. A Chicago venue cancels metal band's show over excessive use of guns and not real guns. Gun props. Only in Chicago.
Yes.
Those are your people. Whose man's is this?
I don't live in Chicago.
Whose man's is this?
Whose man's is this?
It's a death metal band. King 810 is the name of the band. But they're from Flint, Michigan, which is funny. And they wear masks and stuff on stage.
There's got to be something in the water out there.
And their debut album was called Memoirs of a Murderer, including tracks Kill 'Em All and Murder, Murder, Murder. Like these guys do sound metal. They're like metal as all get out.
In an interview with Music and Riots magazine. Done. Ending sentence right there. I don't even want to.
Yes.
Music and Riots magazine. That's a thing. I'm clicking on it. Music and Riots magazine.
Overflow. Way too many stories to cover this week. You can find this extra stories in the show notes at firearmsradio.tv. Click This Week in Guns. You can also pledge your support. firearmsradio.tv/pledge. You can support for as little as $5 per month to support Pro Gun Radio. Amazon. Contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, by clicking the Amazon banners on the website, or bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. I should say you can also go to Amazon or to firearmsradio.tv, click the Amazon banner to get to Amazon. And then if you're not already signed up for the Amazon Prime, you can sign up and then you get Amazon Instant Videos, which are some very, very well done original Amazon series. I don't know if any of you guys have been watching the Amazon original, The Grand Tour.
Yes.
Yes.
And lots of guns in episode 2, right?
That was pretty good.
Pretty good show, pretty funny.
A little loopy with the firearms handling and
very loopy.
Like they just had to have purged that entire site of live ammo because it was so flippant and unsafe. Like flagging cameras and I can't imagine. A couple times I was like, ooh, I just physically jumped. Made me pucker a little bit.
Yes. Gun safety is not their stick to cars.
Their fault. They're British.
Still entertaining series. Many other entertaining series on Amazon Prime. So you can click firearmsradio.tv, click through the Amazon banners, and support Pro Gun Radio. We're to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. Each of those picks a story to call their own here. Well, you guys are picking your stories. I want everyone else to head on over to jwbmilitary.com, home of JWB Military and Brass, where they have some awesome AR-500 targets, steel targets, and they also have reloading brass that is fully processed, deprimed, resized. Pockets have been swaged, and the cases have been trimmed, so they're pretty much ready to load. They have 300 blackout. If you're looking to make some of your own subsonic loads, they got the brass for you. Also have 9mm, 223, 556, 308. Check it out, jwbmilitary.com. All right, who's ready to rock and roll?
Oh my God, I so am.
All right, go.
The FNS PS90 Supreme Bling Edition. Look at this mother. Jeez. So literally they took all the metal components from the PS90, which is essentially just your receiver, the upper arm and the barrel itself, and they did all the hand scroll work engraving, and they polished the bejesus out of it, and then they did it again, and they polished it, and then they dipped it in 24 karat gold.
Yeah.
Is that a dioptic optic on it? It's like they spent all this money and time making it, and then put like a weird.
And then they had inscribed in the crown of the muzzle, El Rey de la Muerte, which is the king of the dead.
Yeah.
It's got a little skull wearing a crown. That's cute.
This thing's, I mean, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the P90.
Do you see the picture of it all polished before the scroll work?
This is like something you would take off a dead cartel guy.
I know, I want one.
Yeah, I immediately thought like Blood Diamond Guard or something.
I was looking for the rooster on the front, like as a front sight post, but it's not there.
So good though.
But that camo job too on the
it looks way cooler before they dipped it in gold.
I don't know. I'd take it.
I'd want one of each.
Yeah.
Because just the scroll work alone is gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
It must like glisten in sun. Like Chinese math grade.
All right, Nate, what do you got?
I want to get a little nostalgic here. Yesterday was the anniversary of Pearl Harbor, a date that will live in infamy. And it was actually the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. I don't know if you guys saw the news, but they actually had some vets out there at the USS Arizona and the memorial that they have in Hawaii. But I guess this article is memory still vivid for veterans 75 years after Pearl Harbor. But I was thinking about it yesterday because I posted a thing up on our company page about Pearl Harbor. You know, every year I remember it. Today, the 8th of December, was the day that my grandpa had joined the service because of what happened the day before in his life. And it's just, for me, it's amazing because it's been 75 years, but you know, it was an extremely brutal sneak attack on America that, you know, we didn't see coming. And it's like, it wasn't rivaled, and nothing like that ever happened again until 9/11, you know, which is essentially our generation's Pearl Harbor, you know? So I was thinking about, like, this was the first year for high school kids to learn about 9/11 as a historic event that they weren't alive for. And looking at it like this, is 75 years since Pearl Harbor. I think someday that's what that event's going to turn into for us, you know. But this is what I want to say. I'm going to keep it short. If you have somebody in your life, a grandparent or a great uncle, or maybe just the old guy that lives across the street that you know is a World War II vet, it's been 75 years since that attack. That means for you to be alive in a military age, like you're an old man now, and unfortunately, you're probably not going to be around much longer. So if you have the opportunity, take the time to go talk to the vets and listen to their stories while they're still there to tell it. Because like if you don't listen to Grandpa and you don't talk to the old man across the street, a couple years from now they're going to be gone. And you're going to regret not making that time. I mean, it's part of American history. So you know, we went and fought a world war that killed 3% of the world's population. You know, it was an amazingly bloody conflict, and it's important we remember what that conflict was about. So that's all I got to say for that.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Abs, what do you have?
I can get a little less serious. This from guns.com, the most realistic zombie apocalypse training in the nation video.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just so done with this. If you like guns, just say you like guns. Don't say that you have to get guns ready for the zombie apocalypse. So anytime I see the word realistic and zombie put together, I'm going, okay, let's like, you can say you enjoy zombie movies and stuff like that, but this is like horror film quality. Like these dummies that he's made out of paper mache and hair, human hair and stuff, and like shabby. Right. All you have to do is hear that the guy is using hair, and it's the theme is headshots, so you got to get good at headshots and stuff. But this guy is from you guessed it, Kentucky, and he's been doing this since like 2011, and he's apparently getting really good at it, good enough to start getting some notoriety because we have too many news stations and not enough real news. So
this video is like the B-reel of The Walking Dead.
It's the practice session.
It's the dummy, like the back filler zombies.
Now the cool thing about this is like a lot of these targets are actually reactive targets that like when you shoot them they go down, and it starts out like these guys being led to the range with like a blindfold on, like goggles are blacked out, so that like once they take the goggles off, it's like go. It's like live fire. Like,
well, and the rumor is that the shoots are like it's a 3-gun format, so it's rifle, pistol, and shotgun. But the rumor is you can only bring one if it's a tourist judge.
Oh.
So you
I
don't
feel
have
like it's
to.
just a balloon holding that thing up.
I'm going to tell you right now, like the zombie thing, like totally jumped the shark a couple years ago when Warren started making zombie green scope mounts. EOTech made the zombie reticle, right? Like I'm done with it. I love zombie stuff. Like me and Pete used to reload. Like me and Peter Palmer reload cartridges, and we would set out to watch every zombie film ever made. And there's literally thousands of zombie films. Like there's French zombie films. Like weird, right? Like the whole world has this love affair with zombies, but like we ruined it. We like beat it to death to the point where I don't even want to watch The Walking Dead anymore. I just watch it because I'm this far into it and I have to.
Oh, so, dude, I am so proud of myself because I just gave up 3 seasons ago. I was like, this is so ridiculous. I actually hate myself at the end of it. So
but for the record, I will say, like, I still find myself like, this is, you know, my dream gun for the zombie apocalypses. I don't have to worry about like people. I got to worry about zombies. A 1022 with a suppressor, because I can carry like thousands of rounds in my backpack.
Just find wherever the hoarders are keeping them, and you're golden.
Well, yeah, exactly. The 22 ammo. I mean, no, like think about it, like if you have to have a headshot to kill a zombie, 22 can do that to a human being right now. So why not just carry a 1022? Like, why have some big fancy AR-15 when you can just carry a super quiet suppressed 22?
It's great.
Now, hang on. There, we also skipped over the fact that since 2012, the Zombie Shooters United have been organizing shoots all over the country. It's like IDPA for zombie shooters, or Three Gun Nation for zombie.
It's like that whole Zert association where it's like, look, this is what it is. It's like you're scared to tell people you're a prepper. You don't want people to judge you for being a prepper, so it's better to be thought to be criminally insane that you're preparing for the zombie apocalypse.
Right.
It's not campy. It's not cute anymore.
Can
Just
we
say
write down a bunch of these adjectives like criminally insane, campy, prepper, all of these things?
Like I'm gonna say, like, I guess I fall in the category of prepper, right? I guess I'm a prepper, whatever, right? I don't like the title because the word's been demonized. Like the word survivalist was demonized in the 90s. Okay, I'm a person driven by reason and logic and understand bad things happen. So it's prudent for me to have ammunition for my guns and food to eat if the grocery stores don't have food anymore, which would be like as simple as a Katrina type event. But like apparently that makes you insane, right? So the thing is like people don't want to say they're preppers, so they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm just stocking up for the zombie apocalypse, ha ha ha. Like,
Right.
Like everybody knows that guy. We've met that guy at gun shows.
Which
You
is
meet
exactly
that
what
guy.
I was. Exactly.
The
what I
guy
was
comes in the gun shop. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, just say it. Just say I'm a prepper, and I will respect you so much more for it because the zombie thing is played out.
All right, so you guys all remember the Liberator 45 pistols that were made in World War II. They were going to drop them over France and stuff for the
The gun to get you a gun.
Yeah, the gun to get you a gun. Well, apparently DARPA helped develop essentially a shotgun version of this in the 60s, which was a quad barrel 12 gauge shotgun, basically with 4 pre-packed shells ready to go.
When you absolutely never need your wrist to work ever again.
Oh my God.
Did it fire all 4 barrels at the same time?
I don't know.
Is there a link for that DARPA? Because I saw that article and I opted for another one after that.
Yeah, I perused it. Like, Forgotten Weapons did a whole thing about it, right?
Yeah. I'm sure if you
the
watch that
article.
video, it'll outline it.
I just like hearing Jake say DARPA.
DARPA.
Dude, I love DARPA.
That's
DARPA's
like-
the coolest thing in the world.
That's like
I would love to work
Natalie's
for
favorite
DARPA.
topic on this show is DARPA.
Yeah, she nerds out over DARPA like crazy because it's like the skunk works for like advanced technologies for the military.
So the best part is like one of the videos in this article is filmed by the curator at the Buffalo Bill Cody Museum in Cody, Wyoming. And my dad, I have a whole bunch of these on my phone somewhere. My dad was just up there in September and sent me back like a half dozen pictures of these shotgun liberators. He's like, "Have you ever seen these?" And
Dude,
all I could think
they're-
was like a blunderbuss and an alien ray gun had a baby.
Dude, these things, they were cast magnesium with steel liners for the barrels. This is actually like more high speed than a lead one. Like cast magnesium's not cheap.
A lead swan?
So I mean, you think about it, like it makes sense. Like during World War II, the British Defense Forces issued shotgun shells. They issued double-aught buckshot to the civilians because they were scared of a invasion, like a German invasion of mainland UK. So it was going to be like how, like when we were going to invade Japan, we were worried that every citizen was going to fight us to the death. The Brits were preparing their citizens the same way. So at that time, like there's still somewhat of a gun culture. So everybody had a shotgun, but everybody had birdshot, you know?
Mm.
So they issued buckshot 12 gauge rounds to anybody that wanted it, so that if the Germans ever invaded, every farmer with a 12 gauge could help fight the Nazis, which I think is really cool, right? And I
I
found
didn't know that.
I found 12 gauge shotguns in Iraq. I found them in Africa. Like the 12 gauge shotgun, no matter what configuration it is, it's one of the most abundant weapons on the face of the earth. Like even countries that highly restrict guns, there's still 12 gauge shotguns, you know? So like you think about it, like, well, if you made a disposable multi-shot 12 gauge shotgun to arm a partisan force or guerrilla force with, I would definitely want that over a single shot 45 caliber pistol that has a max effective range of 0 meters. So, I mean, it's neat. I guess like it never went anywhere. You think about it, when they developed it, AK-47s, and there's other weapons out there. So,
All right.
Speaking of forgotten weapons, Jake,
Sure.
the Brazil's PASAMS, updated Mauser, full auto pistols and submachine guns. I want one so bad. Oh my god, what I really want is for somebody to like make a modern version of the Mauser with a detachable magazine. And this isn't a modern version, but it is. It does take a box magazine external that you can unload, so you don't have to pop in from the top with the stripper clips. This is a personal fascination of mine, the Mauser, so that's why I was gravitating towards this article. And they've got some pictures but no videos. I'm sorry, but the submachine gun pistol thing, whatever it is that has the foregrip like right under the muzzle, looks badass as hell.
Yeah, it's super dog.
It's like one of the oldest
gangster.
one of the oldest like automatic pistols that ever made, and they're still trying to make it better. But instead of making it actually better, they're still failing miserably. I saw that picture. The guy's finger is like an inch away from the muzzle.
I know. And I'm just sitting here looking at that one with the foregrip and saying, if you just take away the foregrip and you integrally suppress it in all that area there,
all that dead space, like there's
exactly.
Yeah.
Dude. Give it a 20-round magazine.
Whitey, all the best guns are made in Brazil. We all know that. The Brazilians make nothing but quality firearms.
Is that judge? Or Remington's not made in Brazil, is it?
Oh my god, we went there.
What I don't get about these.
In case I was wondering, we do read your emails.
What I don't get about these is, Josh, do you like the broom handles just because of how tiny the grip is and it fits your hands better?
Yes, I have tiny Trump hands, and I like that I can
full grip, two hands.
Do you think about that gun, that like the Mauser, the broom handle Mauser? How old is that? That's like 120.
It was in World War One. They used it.
Yeah, but it came out in like the 1890s. I want to say.
Yeah, well, it's a 19th century.
1896 or something. Yeah,
I still want one.
The most steampunk handgun you can buy.
Oh no! Does that mean I'm steampunk? And
yes, you're like a gun hipster now.
No, Ebbs is. Look at that brim, flat.
I can't.
Sticker. Show me the sticker.
My glasses get pushed down if I have too much curl on it. So
we don't want that.
There's no sticker though.
All right, new way to support the show and network. You can pledge your support over at firearmsradio.tv/pledge. You pledge for as little as $5 a month to support pro gun radio like This Week in Guns. Head on over to firearmsradio.tv/pledge. Also check out Patriot Patch Co. Actually have a brand new It's Dangerous to Go Alone patch, Sniper Edition. Available at patriotpatch.co. It's an 8-bit something or another. I actually didn't ask Ryan, the designer, what it was.
Oh, it's a Barrett M107, so technically it's a Sasser, a special application scope rifle, and not a sniper rifle, but semantics.
Patriotpatch.co. Also have those cleaning mats in stock. Check those out. AR-15, AK-47, and 1911 cleaning mats. Patriotpatch.co. Well, this is a part of the show where we see what these guys are up to. So, Josh, Four Guys Guns, what's up, and where can people connect with you?
Four Guys Guns is doing a couple things. Some before the new year, some immediately after. What I would like everyone who follows us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube to do is pay attention for the weekly drill down. We will be announcing a giveaway soon from RE Factor that pertains directly to the weekly drill down that will incorporate some participation on your end. It doesn't really make us feel that great if all we're doing is kind of showing people to get out and do stuff and what they can do. If we can't see that they are doing it, we want people to go out there and do it. We want responsible gun owners to go and practice and get better and improve at the range. And hopefully this is something that helps drive that. Even if it's just two people that play along, that's two more that we know can actively participate in trying to better themselves on the range. We are also, this is just a small attempt to see what happens. We will be doing a limited edition only 100 total sold of the Chairborne Ranger in a brand new color scheme. We're going to see how that goes. We haven't really pitched that particular patch in a while, but we have a whole new, basically like Black Ops edition of the Chairborne Ranger patch. Velocity mag extensions for Glock can still be purchased at 4guysguns.com. And tomorrow, a new episode of the Weekly Drill Down. We listened to the feedback. We went with wheel guns this time, 357s. Should be interesting. And yeah, getting ready for SHOT Show.
Sneaking up.
Quickly. That desert air in my hair.
Very cool. 4guysguns.com.
Or
Ebs,
facebook.com/4guysguns.
Ebs, what's new? And where can people connect online?
You know, we are trying to keep up with orders with our old man guns that are obsolete. That's what Nathan Burr always says after I talk about our Thompson Center single
They're
shot.
one step up from a Liberator.
And they are so popular. As obsolete as they are, we can hardly keep up with orders, which is a great problem. And so still working on triggers, working on getting some video stuff launched for the old man. He wants his own YouTube channel with the old man guns. So we'll see how that goes.
That should be the name of the channel, Old Man Guns.
But actually, I'm kind of psyched. I just picked up a new barrel that I'm working on loads for. It's a 6.5 by 47 Lapua. So pretty stoked to be. I haven't done anything with the 6.5 in probably 8 years or so. And it's a shame because it's one of my favorite calibers. Specifically the Swede before and Creedmoor after that. But anyway, yeah, cool stuff. And it's getting cold here, so we're working inside mostly right now. But other than that, stuff's going good.
All right, where can people find you guys?
Yeah, you can find our Old Man Gun Facebook page at houseofarms.com. That's HAUS of arms.com. And all the House of Gun stuff is still up. Facebook page gets a little bit of attention here and there. Not too much on Instagram, but it's all still there. So someday it'll get the attention it deserves.
So what are you seeing move mostly over at houseofarms.com this holiday season?
Well, we bought the remaining 561 Bergara barrels for the Encore platform. CVA Bergara announced in March that they were going to discontinue their Encore barrel line. And so we found out a distributor was going to be getting some, and we were like, well, how many more are there? And got some insight, so contacted them directly and worked out a way to buy them, get them shipped out and listed and stuff. So they've been going a lot because we bought them at about 30% off, which we're not out to gouge just because they're not making them anymore. So that means 30% off of our price too from before. So all the barrels are coming in well under $200. Still selling stock sets with our custom hydro dipping and stuff like that on them. And then we've also got into some custom barrel making with a good friend, kind of a legend in the TC world. He was Parker Otto Ackley's apprentice and bought his shop after he passed away, or prior to him passing. And so I've been doing some custom caliber work with him, some calibers that aren't available readily in configurations that we want. And we've named those House of Arms Custom by Bellum. The builder's name is Mike Bellum. And so we're selling a lot of those too. Done some 30-30, done a lot of 444 Marlin. Have some new 300 Win Mag threaded barrels coming in, and some new 300 Blackout and 6.8 SBC2. I guess 6.8 Remington technically, as far as these are coming out, and some 280 Ackley improved also.
Awesome. Very cool. So houseofarms.com. Nate, what's up and where can people connect?
I've had a very exciting week. Last week I was down in Mississippi and I carjacked John Shrek McPhee from Sheriff of Baghdad. That did not go well for me at all. So I was down there filming for this upcoming season of Trigger Time, which starts in January on the Premiere Channel. So it was pretty cool. I got to hang out with McPhee and do some shooting and basically showcase some new KDG stuff that we have coming out. And I got back this week, and we just launched a new product. We just launched our new modular optics mount, which, if you guys aren't watching, if you're listening, what it is, it's a modular mount that allows you to configure your scope setup how you want it. So it's available in 1-inch, 30 and 34 millimeter rings, and you can put the rings forward and aft where you want them, so they don't interfere with your target turrets or your focus ring or anything like that. And it's utilizes the same side lock technology that our other optics mounts have, where it locks on instantly to your rifle with no loss to zero. So it's 100% return to zero. And the neat thing about it, what I like the most about it, is the design is there so that down the road I can have add-ons to it, and basically the base stays the same. So say you buy a new scope and you're going from a 1-inch to a 30 millimeter, instead of buying a whole new mount, you just buy new rings. And the rings themselves are CNC'd out of a solid piece of billet aluminum and then wire cut, and they're true to each other. And the whole way through production, they stay married together, so that they're as concentric of a ring as I can possibly hope to make. So I'm pretty stoked about that. They just went for sale on the website Monday, and they've been selling really well. So I'm stoked about that. I'm really very, very happy to see our modular optics mount out. So that's the big news for now. We have some other stuff coming out probably around Christmas time. If not by Christmas, then maybe early January. And like these guys here, I'm getting ready for SHOT Show. So I've been on the run like nonstop for the last 2 weeks. I'm getting a little tired, a little burnout, but
very cool. Yeah, those optics mounts,
they look awesome.
Really awesome.
Yeah,
great idea.
I'm very pleased with how they turned out.
I can't believe no one's thought of that. I mean,
there's similar concepts out there, but I don't think very many are as adaptable as our system. And like what I do is, because I do quite a bit with design, with our design team, is I always look at like, I don't want to make a product that's good for today. I want to make a product that's good for 10, 20 years from now, so that as optics change and trends change, you don't have to spend money today and then basically like retire it to a box of gun parts. Why not have it adaptable for that new thing that comes out down the road, 5 years or whatever it might be? So that's definitely what you're going to be able to do with our mount. And if you want to check that out, you can go to our website, which is kineticdg.com. And you can also check us out on Instagram, which is Kinetic Development Group. And if you want to harass me personally, you can go to Instagram and follow GripStop.
Awesome. Very cool stuff. You can leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of this YouTube video or the bottom of the Facebook video or on the website, firearmsradio.tv. Click This Week in Guns. You can also contribute using that Amazon affiliate link over at firearmsradio.tv, and really helps out, supports Pro Gun Radio. So that's about wraps us up. Thank you, Nate.
Thanks, Jake. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Josh.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
And thank you, Abs.
It is good to be back.
That's a wrap. We'll see you next week.